Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm working on 2008 Jetta with a 2-liter turbo. Customer complaint is that the AC blows warm. A couple things. First, safety glasses. Anytime working on AC systems, I mean, you should always wear them, but definitely if there's ever going to be a time to wear them, working on AC systems. So what I want to do is put my gauges on it and see what kind of pressures I have, but I want to use the Varus and show you just a couple things you can use looking at scan data. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Hook up the scan tool, see what kind of trouble codes we have, see what kind of data PIDs we have, and what we can use when you have an AC issue.
Okay, we are going to go to scanner. This is an 08 Jetta, 2-liter turbo. And we are going to go to Airco, that's HVAC. Some codes are stored. So we have refrigerant pressure, lower limit reached. So right off the bat we know this could be just a low pressure issue and no refrigerant in the system. So this is one way. That would be if our pressure sensor is reading correctly. So we could go to data menu, data PID list. We'll make this a custom. Before I do that, we'll see what kind of data PIDs we have. Right here we have our refrigerant pressure. It's in bar. It's at 0. Compressor status. So the car's not on, right, or the AC is not on. I'm going to start it up real quick. This is just to get familiar with the data PIDs that are in here. I'm just going to make this custom, show you what I really want to focus on, which would be our refrigerant pressure and this compressor status. So right now our refrigerant pressure is 0. That's what our sensor is reading. That's what the module sees. And this number 3 on this compressor status, how this system works is there are compressor off codes. Number 3 is an off code, and this is the reason that the compressor is not on. So there, whatever numbers here, each of these numbers have a meaning. I don't know if you can see that better. So refrigerant pressure is 0. Compressor status is 3. What does that 3 mean? Alright, so here's a list of what these compressor off codes mean. And what we have, our number was 3. So number 3 is compressor off, refrigerant pressure was or is too low. So I'll just leave that up for a little bit. You guys can see what each code would mean. And what we can do right now to verify this refrigerant pressure being too low is really simple. Let's just put our gauges on there and see what kind of pressure we have. These are my AC gauges. I think I got these from Harbor Freight for like $40 maybe, on the pretty cheap. So I just want to verify that AC pressure sensor is 0. If that's the case, then maybe there's a leak somewhere and we just need to check for a leak. So right here I'm hooked up to my high side, low side. And what do we have on the gauge? 0 psi, static pressure of 0 psi. So this confirms that our pressure sensor is reading correctly. And the reason this AC is not working is, one, the control module is not even turning the compressor on because of this low pressure, and two, there's no refrigerant in the system. So there's potential for a leak here. So we're gonna have to check it for a leak. And I'm going to use a method that I have seen Scanner Danner use, which I really liked it. Just one quick thing here. On, I guess you could say, normal systems, it would be really easy just to look at the compressor and say, oh yeah, the clutch is working. In this case, this does not have a clutch. This is internally regulated, so whenever you have this vehicle running, you're not going to see any type of clutch engagement or disengagement. That compressor is always going to be spinning, and I believe what they use is a wobble plate that is inside and internally regulated. So just a note, not going to see any clutch engagement. It's just how the compressor is. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to open one side of these valves and I'm going to apply some pressure into the system through this charging or evacuation hose, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to close off this valve just to get some pressure in the system and just spray some soapy water around and see if there's a leak. Obviously there's already atmospheric pressure and moisture inside the system. I really don't think it's going to hurt anything if I add some air through here. It's going to be hard to do with one person. Alright, I'm going to keep you focused on these gauges. I'm going to try to add some air in here by myself. I'm going to put it on the high side and do this. So I just have this, I'm just going to spray some air into this hose. See if we can watch this. See my low side going up. And I'm just going to close this valve off. And now I have about 53 psi in there. And now what I want to do is just spray around for some leaks, get some soapy water, and spray around and see, look for any bubbles. Why waste refrigerant? Especially if there's a huge leak, it's going to go right to the atmosphere. Soapy water, and just spray around on your AC lines. If you have a huge leak, lay this gauge down here. If you have a huge leak, pressure is going to drop significantly. If you have a huge leak, you'll be able to see it on your gauges immediately. With a small leak, you can just watch your gauges over time. And if you do have a leak, you do this and spray some soapy water around. expansion valve. Found it. So right there is our AC pressure sensor. You can see the bubbles coming out underneath the pressure sensor. There is an O-ring there. And then there is a Schrader valve underneath there, so if you ever just had a faulty sensor, you could just replace the sensor. You don't need to evacuate the system. In this case, our system's empty. So what we would need potentially is that O-ring that's under there. Might as well just put a sensor in it. You got to take the sensor out anyways, and then you would just evacuate this and recharge it. But that's pretty cool. Didn't have to waste any refrigerant. So pretty cool. Using the AC gauge, able to use a scan tool, compressor off codes, a little bit of air pressure, soapy water to find an AC leak. You don't need to waste any of that refrigerant that's going to go to atmosphere. If you have a leak, why would you do that? Anyways, there's already probably a ton of moisture in the system, already air in the system. I don't think I'm going to hurt anything adding air to it. I'm sure maybe some people have their own opinion about that. I'm fine with that. Pretty cool test. If you have an AC issue, you can use the off codes. I will try to get a known good of what that pressure is, you know, with it running. I guess it all depends how much refrigerant's in there. Pretty cool that we can use the scan tool using the gauges and using air pressure to find a leak. I like that. So, and I have to get an approval. I don't have an approval yet, so that's why I can't show you the fix or a fix, but pretty confident that's gonna fix it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Okay guys, well, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get you an after shot, but I got the new AC pressure sensor installed with a new O-ring. We are not leaking anymore. Charged the system. I believe the system takes 525 grams, give or take 25. So it is charged up. There's no more leaks. And outside temp's about 84 degrees. That might be because the engine's a little hot. It's probably, I don't know, closer to 60, 70 maybe. Condenser temp, that is actually evaporator temp. There is no temp sensor on the condenser. So that is actually temperature behind the evaporator. It's sitting at about 37 degrees. Bottom left, compressor status, that's a 0. If you remember looking at the compressor off codes, 0 meant that the compressor was running. So our compressor is working. And our refrigerant pressure is now 13 bar, and that is going to change depending on RPM and output of the compressor, how fast the compressor's turning. But I just wanted to get you an after shot. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.